It's Diesel with Jeep Style. And Stacked Off-Road, that's right. For all your on-off-road performance needs. Well, I'm driving this Gladiator, and we're getting ready to actually put the complete PSC system on it, and I'm driving it. You know, I like to test drive customers' Jeeps, so one, I can turn his words into the actual feel of the vehicle, and it just better it just better enhances the communication with me and that particular customer. So I like to do that with all my customers. But yeah, also I drove a JL to Pigeon Forge this weekend, and the steering of these things are really horrible. So as I'm driving, this is what I feel like. So I'm driving, and if you are having a steering wheel in any direction at all, which is very common when you're driving down the road, sometimes it's correct, but then other I think I get choked up. My beard is making me stutter. But sometimes it feels like, since it's electronically controlled power steering, I feel like whatever direction I am leaning on, it will just all of a sudden get a lot of power steering power and jerk in that way. And then instantly I find myself fighting when I didn't turn the steering wheel. I don't feel like I turned the steering wheel at all. Going through the mountains in Pigeon Forge in the JL, I'm in a turn, you know, and we're turning. And then just all of a sudden it's like I find myself chasing the steering wheel back in the middle of a turn. And my only thought process and how I'm thinking is that electronic steering actually just gets a bunch of extra power or whatever because it's an electronic steering. And you know what, I'm not an engineer at Jeep, so I don't know how it works, but that's what it feels like to me, that I'm going, then all of a sudden I'm correcting it and I didn't do anything. So in this JT, I'm driving this Gladiator, and it feels exactly the same, and I'll be honest with you, it's a little bit worse. So we're gonna drive it back to the shop. I'm gonna show you the PSC power steering parts, and it eliminates the electronic situation, and we're gonna go back to the regular pump and a PSC steering box and the whole system. We're gonna go over it, and then we'll re-drive it again, and hopefully I'll be able to put in words what it feels like for you if you are going that way, or whatever way you want to go. So this is Diesel. Power steering problems with JTs and JLs. We're going to figure it out and bring it to you. I'm going to steer you in the right direction. God. Let's go check out this kit. All right, we're back at the shop. We have all the parts unwrapped. And PSC, they're just awesome. And I'm really excited to see how this is going to change the steering of this JT. And then we got a JL, El Diablo of Lucas Tucker's coming up next. And you can see all the parts comes pretty complete. It has amazing instructions. And you know, anything from the brackets the power steering pump's going to bolt up to on the side of the block where they actually eliminated the pump. So this is going to be exciting, and see where everything goes. They got a really good looking cooler that looks like it's going to cool extremely well. All the lines you can see, majority of them are all cut to length, and PSC just does a great job on really precise fit installation, and you can see that their workmanship is very high quality, and I'm excited. So let's see what we got to do first. And I don't know, I'm pretty rough on these things as far as the way they steer and drive, so you'll get my honest opinion when this is all back together. All right, let's get started. We're about halfway with the Gladiator or the JT with the PSC install. Dan and I are just trucking right along. One good thing about the install is it's PSC. The shit fits where it's supposed to fit. One thing when you're doing this and you're drilling through this core support, as you can see, it looks great. We actually had a protector on the backside, so when the drill bit went through, we didn't puncture the condenser. That's probably a pretty quick, good tip to remember. All the lines look great. Looks like a little ram horns or something. I'm very excited, you can tell. One thing that we're excited about is the instructions. The pictures are great for guys that can't read, like me. No, the instruction book is really good, man. They did a good job, you know, really putting it out there on what to do and what not to do. So right now, we're running the lines. We have the little accumulator, and then the reservoir is going to be a little bit smaller coming up. I'm calling it an accumulator. Reservoir accumulator. So anyways, one cool thing I wanted to show you is this whole motor mount. So on the JTs, JLs, there's an idler right here where the power steering pump would go. Well, all that gets removed. The motor mount on the passenger side gets removed, and it gets replaced with this beautiful PSC pump and the new motor mount. So that's pretty slick. It's gonna work out pretty good. And this is the stuff it replaces. And a lot of this stuff is just when I drive the vehicle and I feel, and then I look at stuff like this. This is a power steering pump. So it's controlled electronically. And when I'm driving these things, and once again, this might not be what's happening, but this is what I feel when I'm driving. So there's got to be, you know, a way for the electric pump to know how much pressure power steering fluid to actually pump to properly turn the vehicle. Now this is where my personal opinion comes in. Why I'm driving, I feel like when I'm driving it, the electric pump actually gets the wrong input possibly when I'm in a long turn, and then it boosts up the energy, it boosts up the power steering pressure, and the next thing I know, I'm correcting something that I don't even remember getting out of shape with. That's what it feels like when I'm driving it, that I'm just driving down the road, and then all of a sudden it feels like the power steering pump gets extra pressure and just kind of, it just doesn't feel good. I don't like it. It's just not something I like. So I'm really excited to see how this PSC turns out. And it's a beautiful kit. And everything's going in just fine. And so we're going to finish this up. I can't wait to drive it and follow the rest of the install. But up until now, everything is going just fine. Good job, PSC. Just fine. It's almost a wrap. We got the 2020 JT Gladiator. Huge lift, huge axles. Good old Travis doesn't do anything second best. And we are installing the PSC system. It went together just well, like we were explaining. We really didn't run into any crazy issues. It looks great. Right now we are actually in the bleed cycle to try to get all the air out of the power steering, which is kind of a bear. Before the grill went on, I had all these fittings loose, and we filled the system up until fresh fluid came out of all the coolers and lines, and all back together. And so we have it on jack stands so we can cycle the steering lock to lock and figure out, or just, you know, trying to get all the air out. One thing that we had to do is weld our mount on the tie rod. Basically, we didn't have a clamp to make that work. So we're gonna position it, weld it, measure the pipe, get a clamp coming, and then it's very easy to clean that up at that point. One thing with the PSC cylinder is the stroke is a little less than what we want. So we drilled some holes and we have some bolts, as you can see, some stops right here. For now, it's gonna work, but we definitely need to take a little, you can see the bolt bending a little bit. That's gonna take a little bit of work to figure that out on both sides. That's to protect this ram, because we don't want to basically hyperextend it or overextend the ram. That's probably the #1 failure of these rams. So we definitely want the steering to be stopped by the stops. That is probably the biggest issue we're having with this install is getting the ram stroke correctly. We're definitely gonna have to have a new ram built for it. So we had to make stops so it would work temporary. The mount, the clamp, I definitely want to get a clamp on it. It makes it a lot easier to adjust the steering, toe. When you're off-roading, you always want to check your toe. And the bleeding of the AC power steering system is being a little bit of a bear. But awesome stuff like this, if it was easy, everyone would do it. So we're excited to get Travis here today and to drive it and see how this turns out myself. I'm super curious to see how the steering improves. So we are getting close on the Gladiator. Test drives coming up.
You need to turn that light off, right?
I gotta remember how to flip through that thing and turn it off.
Turn me on, baby. That thing looks low in the front.
It is low in the front, isn't it?
You want me stiffer? Hey, D.
Hey, I'm Diesel, and this is Travis, and we just finished his JT Gladiator steering. We're gonna ask Travis, how was it stock?
Stock steering wouldn't cut it with the 40s. No way. Couldn't turn off road. Couldn't use the front locker while turning at all. And on the street, even in two-wheel drive, it was all over the place, wandering, death wobble. It was awful.
So now we just installed the PSC kit, complete kit. Big bore box, got rid of that electronic steering. That's an ugly unit, by the way.
Right.
It's in your trunk.
Okay, thanks.
Or bed.
I know where to put that.
So we're gonna go for a drive and see what he thinks. Just kidding. It's actually pretty sick, right? Travis,
good.
what do you think, buddy?
It's predictable. Feels like you're connected to it more so than stock. It's awesome. Driving good.
It is definitely driving good. So that's the complete PSC kit. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me, because it is kind of an extensive, did I say that right? Extensive job. And yeah, we're here to help you. This is Diesel Jeep Style. And this is a little JT steering upgrade I think you're gonna like. You really think, Travis, you're gonna like it, huh?
Definitely.
You're
Worth the money.